What if you could treat severe depression with a single 30-minute session? It sounds a little like science fiction, right? Well, a major new clinical trial suggests it might be our new reality. So let's break down this groundbreaking research on a compound called DMT and what it could mean for the future of mental health care.
Okay, let's just cut straight to the chase. This is the headline finding from the study. A single dose, rapid effects, and they lasted for months. It's that powerful combination of speed and durability that has the entire medical community paying very, very close attention.
So what are we really talking about when we say psychedelic breakthrough? Look, this isn't some fringe experiment. We're talking about a serious, rigorous, placebo-controlled clinical trial. This is real science.
Now, the compound at the heart of all this is DMT, or dimethyltryptamine. It's a naturally occurring psychedelic, and it's known for its really powerful but incredibly short-lived effects. And honestly, that short duration is exactly what makes it so interesting for clinical use.
Think about it like this, because it highlights a huge practical difference. Most of us, when we hear psychedelic therapy, we imagine this all-day thing, like a 6-hour marathon. An IV DMT session, though? It's more like a 30-minute sprint. That makes it so much more practical for clinics and way more accessible for patients.
To really get why a 30-minute treatment could be such a game changer, we have to talk about the problem it's trying to solve. And believe me, the scale of the depression crisis is just staggering.
Major depressive disorder, we're not just talking about feeling sad. The World Health Organization calls it a leading cause of disability across the entire globe. And for millions and millions of people, our current treatments, things like standard antidepressants, they just don't work well enough, or they come with side effects that are just too much to handle.
This is what experts call the waiting game. Your standard antidepressants can take 8 to 12 weeks to even begin working. For someone who's in a really deep crisis, that is a dangerously long time to wait. Now compare that to this trial, where they saw significant effects in just 1 week. It's a world of difference.
But here's the real tragedy. This new research, it's not new at all. It's actually the revival of a scientific story that was basically put on ice for nearly half a century.
If you go back to the 1960s, research into these compounds showed incredible promise. But by 1970, a mix of politics and cultural fear just slammed the doors shut. Funding dried up, research screeched to a halt, and for decades, this entire field of medicine just went dark. It wasn't until around 2013 that things started up again, and now we're basically playing 40 years of catch-up.
You can really hear the frustration in the medical community. As one expert put it, we are 40 years behind. Just stop and think for a second about the progress we could have made and the tools that doctors and patients could have had all this time.
All right, so let's dig into the experiment itself. How did the scientists pull off these incredible results? What do they actually do?
First things first, it's important to know this was a Phase 2A clinical trial. All that means is it's an early-stage study designed to answer two really basic questions for a small group of patients. Is this treatment safe? And, most importantly, does it actually work?
The way they designed this was actually pretty clever. In the first stage, they took 34 participants. Half of them got a 21.5 milligram IV dose of DMT, and the other half got a placebo. And this was double-blinded, the gold standard, so nobody knew who got what. Then, in the second stage, everyone was offered the real deal.
And the results, they were absolutely stark. By the 2-week mark, it was crystal clear. The placebo group, they saw a small expected dip in their depression scores. But the DMT group, their scores dropped dramatically. The improvement was huge.
So on the standard depression rating scale, the crucial difference between the two groups was a drop of 7.35 points. Now, that might just look like a number on a screen, but that represents a statistically significant, real-world improvement in people's actual lives. That's a big deal.
But you know what? Maybe the most remarkable finding of all was this. A second dose didn't seem to add any real extra benefit. The powerful, lasting antidepressant effects, they happened after just one session. That is almost unheard of with traditional psychiatric medications.
So, the results are promising, and that's putting it mildly. But where do we go from here? What are the next steps? And, what about safety?
Well, according to the study, the treatment was generally really well tolerated. The most common side effects were things you might expect, like some mild pain where the IV went in, bit of nausea, and some short-lived anxiety. That's understandable. But crucially, there were no serious adverse events reported at all.
So the key takeaways here are pretty clear. In this trial, DMT proved to be safe,
fast-acting, and the effects were long-lasting, all within a really practical time frame. But, and this is important, this is still a Phase 2 trial. The next critical step is to do this all again in much larger Phase 3 trials to confirm everything for a broader population.
You know, this research really forces us to ask a pretty profound question. We have spent decades searching for faster, more effective ways to treat depression. And while there's still a lot of work to be done, this study suggests that a powerful answer might just be found in a 30-minute psychedelic sprint.